Thanks so much for watching. Welcome to another Music Maker Guitar video. I wanted to talk a little bit today about counterpoint. So we're going to go ahead and learn this music. Here it is. Go ahead and take a screenshot. So now you have the music. I have regular notation. I also have tabbed there for you. I don't typically do tablature for most of my students, but for a piece like this, I think it could come in handy because there's some different fingerings, and I think the hardest part of this piece is getting it so that you can play everything at the same time cleanly. So I've included some specific fingerings on there in the tab. So if you could follow those, that'll be best. I wanted to go ahead and do this video for a couple of reasons. Number one, I was just so inspired by watching Tomo Fujita's practice routine video. He said that he was doing a classical piece for one of his warm-up routines, and I didn't know the song that he was doing, but I have a little bit of a classical repertoire myself, and I haven't touched it in years, so I figured it would be cool to maybe brush up on some of the stuff. And then while I was looking at this Bach piece, Bouree, in E minor, I just thought it would be a great idea to do maybe a little bit of a counterpoint talk today too. Especially because it seems maybe kind of topical. Adam Neely just recently put out a video about how it's actually got a lot to do with race and music, and just some of the ways that like the classism has kept certain classes down, and while us rich kids that could have afforded to go to music school, we got access to like some of these counterpoint lessons and some things that honestly, they don't always make the best music, but I do think that when they're applied correctly by the proper musician, they do make a big difference. So I think it's worth looking into. Now, what most people don't know when they first start doing this is that, like, if you're a blues guitar player, chances are, or even a rock guitar player, you've been doing some form of counterpoint and not even knowing it the whole time. So I like to always point that out in the beginning, because this is really difficult piece to play, and sometimes like learning the counterpoint isn't necessarily about playing the hardest thing. It's just about knowing that you're using it, and that way you can use it more effectively. So like if you're playing a blues, I'm going to do like a couple of different things. Like if you're playing just bluesy chords, I'm just going to do the 1 and the 4 chords, so I don't have to analyze too much today. But if you're just doing bar chords, reason that is voice leading is basically just because you're not doing this. When you make that move, all of your notes have to jump by 5 frets. That's a fourth. But when you do like this, you're getting like this note stays the same. This note moves. Gives you a little bit of a melody. This one too. I'll put those 3 together. Right? And a big part of that is that like this note moves down and this note moves up. So that like opposing motion, is counterpoint. Okay, so again, like a lot of people, they've been doing this stuff already, but they don't even realize that they did it. So I think the difference though, like maybe between a bluesy thing, more rock and roll thing, whatever you would call what that was, would be that instead of like being an accompaniment kind of vibe, it's more a melodic kind of a vibe. You actually don't really have chords happening here. You just have 2 melodies that happen at the exact same time. And what's really awesome about like Bach or some of these other composers who were masters of this counterpoint is like you could just listen to one line. Like if you just take that first line, I'm doing like the second half. That sounds fine on its own, and I can almost like hear little chords behind it. But then even if I add just the bass line, just bass by itself. I mean? So I think it's really cool. And then you put them together. That's the tricky part, of course. I mess it up. Right, so just and that's hard to do all of that stuff, but I think that is kind of like the main thing that is different is that you have two melodies, they happen absolutely together at the same time. So let's talk about how to maybe practice this stuff. Way I go about it is just check out the first couple of notes. Let's see if you can play them all. First couple kind of come from a G chord. Right? We want to make sure that nothing else is vibrating. Some people do like this. I have all this extra vibration, so I want to be able to control that. The way I do that is like this. When I go to this, so that, what I just did is wrong because you can still hear that note. So I actually try and get my next note down because that's the next thing. I kind of get that down. So I try and like use either my right hand, some combination of some finger there, or left hand, some finger that's not doing something else, to mute everything else that rings every time I like play a note. That's hard to see a lot of the time when you watch guitar players play. It just looks like they're playing the note. But the thing that we miss a lot of the time is that they're muting like 4 or 5 other notes at the same time while they're attacking that note that you're hearing. So I think that's like a big part to work on in the beginning because, you know, that's a really tough nuance, you know. Extra hard because there's a bunch of open strings that happen in there too, and you want the open strings to sound even with your fretted notes. So it's all kind of like a lot to practice at the same time. But I would just take that first couple of notes, maybe just practice that over and over. And I'm just kind of like repeating those sections over and over. You probably in the beginning won't sound super clean like that. That's okay. That's part of the process. Just work at it little bit by little bit. My thing that I always tell everybody is just always be honest with yourself. If it's your first day doing this stuff and it sounds like you're failing at Guitar Hero, you know, like when you're hitting all the wrong notes in Guitar Hero, that's fine. It's your first day. It's new. Tomorrow when you come back, if you get just a little bit better, even if you just have like 2 notes more clear than they were yesterday, that's a big, big improvement. So keep that in mind as you do these things and as you practice this stuff. It's all very difficult music. So just take it 1 note, 2 notes, 3 notes at a time. Anything that's comfortable for you. And then you can always add more later. Just studying a little piece of counterpoint and studying a little bit of melodic material and a little bit of like contrary motion, like one line moving in one way while the other line moves a different way. It's all going to help all of the rest of your music. So I'll show that music one more time right here. There's really quick right where we started. We started at the B section there. But this is a great piece of music. I highly recommend learning the whole thing to anybody who's got the ambition. And please like, subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what you thought about the video, and let me know if you want me to cover another part of it sometime. Maybe we can do the A section at some point. All right, have a great day, have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you next time.